This video was brought to you by Indently.io, learning Python made simple. In this video, I'm going to be showing you a very quick way to group your exceptions on a single line. And I just recently learned about this. I don't know why it took me so many years, probably because I've never needed it, but today I learned that it was possible. Anyway, let's create a small program that can surely raise an exception. So first I will start with a variable called myInput, and that's going to simulate the input from a user, which will be myself. Then we're going to try to cast it to a float. So here we'll type in number of type float is going to equal this float here with my input. And then we will print that the number is the following number, just to show that it's successfully converted. Then we can take care of the exceptions. And one of them might be a value error, if we enter a value that cannot be converted to a float. And here we can just print, let's say, bad input, and we will also take that error message, so as E, and enter it here inside a representation. And then we're going to copy this and paste it directly under, because another error we might encounter is a type error. But we're going to keep the error message the same because that's good enough for this example. So now let's run this and see what happens. As soon as we run it, we get a decimal back because we successfully casted it to a float using this operation. But now if we were to change this to, let's say, 10, we would get a bad input error, and that's going to trigger the value error that it could not convert a string to a float, or my string to a float, because I gave it the string of 10, which is how the number is written in English, but Python has no idea about that. Otherwise, if I were to change this to none and then rerun this script, we would get a different error, a type error, and it's still going to be a bad input. So here we were able to handle two different exceptions, but they both handle it exactly the same way. So why would we want to do it on two separate lines? So what I recently learned is that you can just add a pair of parentheses, add a comma, and then you can add as many errors as you want on a single line. And it's going to work exactly the same way. Whatever error is encountered will be captured by E so that you can use that message later inside the exception block. So now if we were to run this script, we would get the exact same output depending on our input. So if we enter none, we're going to get a type error. If we enter the string of 10, we're going to get a value error. And it's all going to be handled on one line. And as I mentioned, you can enter as many as you want. You can add also a divide by zero error. Or what was it called again? ZeroDivisionError. And if we try to do some silly operation in here, such as x type float equals 1 divided by 0, we will get first a value error, of course, because that's the first exception we run into. But if everything goes good here and we say, 10, and we were to run this script, we would get our number output, but we would also get another bad input error, which is the zero division error. And that was all handled on a single line. So to sum it up, if you have several exceptions that you want to catch that are handled exactly the same way, you might want to opt in for this approach. And it's important to note that the parentheses here are required, otherwise it's not going to recognize it. I tried without the parentheses. Python does not accept that. It only sees the value error, and then everything after that becomes invalid syntax. It doesn't even make sense. And actually Python even specifies that multiple expression types must be parenthesized. So let's add those parentheses back, and there we go.